of the produced food is going to waste around the globe. And we have to reduce and prevent food loss and waste. And there are multiple reasons of food loss and waste, and one of them is harvest, and also harvest up until retail. Some 14% of the produce is being lost up until retail. So we are going to talk about what we can do in order to achieve reduction of food loss and waste, especially during harvest and before retail. And we believe that by 2050, we have to increase the current production by 60% in order to feed the global population of the globe. And on the other hand, natural resources are going down in amount. This is why we need to increase awareness of the people for the reduction and prevention and management of food loss and waste. We have distinguished participants and speakers yesterday who will be handling this issue from different lenses and different perspectives. We have colleagues from the FAO, from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. We have the business world. We have the president of the Aegean Exporters Union, and we have also associations, NGOs among us who will be taking the floor to talk about this topic of reduction of food loss and waste, because this is an achievement that we can have only through cooperation and coordination among us too. I am going to give the floor to our panelists. They will be doing most of the talking today rather than me. Let me introduce the panelists to you. First of all, we have Burak Öz, first of all, policy and food security expert from Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. We have Zeynep Özkan, who is on the field as we speak today, and she is actively engaged in harvesting in Gümüldür. And she is the head of EU Harmonization Department and Save Your Food campaign project coordinator. This is a campaign which has been continuing in the last 1 year or so. We have Berat İnci from the NGO. He is the chairman of the board of directors of Food Rescue Association, which are also contributing to the reduction of food loss and waste in Turkey. We have Elif Necla Türkoğlu, based in Istanbul, just like me. She is Beylikdüzü City Council President and founder of Beylikdüzü Food Bank, who will be taking the floor in the fourth place, and she is particularly going to talk about reduction of food loss and waste, as well as the importance of food banks. We have Zeynep Bayat, an actress and activist. He is actively on the field as we speak today. I've just spotted her on the screen, and she is so much interested in organic farming, and she is with us today. I'd like to thank her for being with us today. We have Hayrettin Uçak. He is the president of the Aegean Exporters Association. He is on the field as well physically. And we have Sabri Çetin, a mandarin producer from Izmir, Gümüldür. He is going to walk us through what could be done in order to reduce food loss and waste in the field. I am going to start with the first speaker, who would be Burak Öz from FAO. He is going to walk us through the activities and efforts of FAO in the area of food loss and waste reduction. Food loss and waste is not only a problem of Turkey, it is a global problem. We know that 1/3 of the produce is going to waste around the globe. So what FAO does globally, Burak Öz will walk us through kindly, hopefully. Burak Öz, you have the floor, sir. Thank you very much. With your blessing, I will be sharing some global figures in addition to answering your question. I'll be attracting your attention to some of the figures which show the magnitude of food loss and waste around the globe. First of all, thank you very much. Welcome to the crop festival, first crop festival on the Save Your Food campaign, implemented collaboratively by FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. One of the SDGs is to halve the food loss and waste by 2030. And for us to achieve this goal, we need to speed up joint efforts. We need to increase collaboration among us all urgently, because there are more than 111 million people who are suffering from chronic food deprivation and malnutrition. And as you know, one third of the produce is going waste. On the other hand, on one hand, we have the chronic food deprivation. On the other hand, we have 1/3 of the produce going to waste. If we can reduce food loss and waste, then we will contribute greatly to the elimination of hunger around the world. Food deprivation, hunger is not just a production-related problem. It is also a social, economic, and political problem globally. This is why the efforts for reduction of food loss and waste becomes so much important for the elimination of hunger and food deprivation globally. As mentioned many times previously, 11% of the produce is lost until the retail, and some 1 billion tons of food is wasted in the end. And 570 million tons of this happens at household level, and which corresponds to 1/5 of the produce. So 19 million tons of food in Turkey is either lost or wasted in Turkey, I can say. And let me talk about definitions. Loss happens before sales, before retail. It is about losing the food actually before the retail stage. And then after the retail stage, we call it waste. This is why we have two different definitions and concepts as loss and waste. And half of our rubbish is composed of food waste. Annually, 93 kilograms per capita is wasted, goes to rubbish. And we are talking about bread. Let me talk about bread. Bread, it has a specific space in our culture, in our traditions. You know, we think bread is sacred. Bread is a sacred piece of meal and food. And we have a lot of proverbs in Turkish, you know, a lot of Turkish sayings, which talks about the importance and sacredness of bread. But still, some 5 million pieces of bread are wasted in Turkey daily, which is huge. And it is 4.2 million tons per enterprise. If we can reduce food loss and waste by 2 tons, and it will correspond to 10 million Turkish liras of saving. We're not talking about economic losses here only. We also need to talk about the greenhouse gas emissions. Food loss and waste also paves the way for the increased greenhouse emissions. If food loss and waste can be considered as a country, it can be considered as the third country around the world with the highest emissions of greenhouse gases. So here we're not losing only food, we are also losing the soil, the air, the natural resources, the efforts which goes into production of that food. Actually, we are losing them totally. And COVID-19 pandemic showed us once again that the food system is so sensitive and requires transportation. We understood once again food systems requires transportation. And because of the pandemic, there has been an increase in food loss and waste. And especially because of the restrictions in travel, there were barriers to transportation, and the food could not be transported and stored. That's why food was lost and wasted in the end. You know, economic means is important when it comes to accessing food, and people lost their livelihoods during the pandemic. That is why they could not access food, and they started to resort to negative coping measures, including reducing the diversity of food that they were taking in and reducing the amount of food that they were taking in, and also going for the cheapest food, whether it was healthy or not. And these were some of the ramifications of COVID-19. But we need to remind ourselves of the fact that accessing food is one of the fundamental human rights, and we need to make sure that people access food. On the other hand, COVID-19 made us revisit our attitudes and approaches to food. Once again, taking the opportunity, I'd like to make a call to everyone to revisit their attitudes and behaviors against the food. Thank you very much, Burak, from FAO, policy and food security expert. Some 93 kilograms of food per capita is wasted annually, he said. This is such an important figure and striking figure. Individually, a person can reduce their waste. This way, we will not be sending 93 kilograms of food to waste, to rubbish bins every year. Zeynep Özkan, how is it going in Izmir, Gümüldür? There is this sunny sunny air, I can see sunny weather behind you. And may I ask, as the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, what have you been doing for the reduction of food loss and waste? Zeynep Özkan is the head of Department of EU Harmonization and Save Your Food Campaign Project Coordinator from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Thank you very much, Ms. Ilgaz. Today, I am here with youth, a very nice crowd I have, and we have a lot of mandarins on top of our tables. Mr. Hayrettin will also show them to you. Thanks to them today, thanks to the support of FAO, thanks to the support of Food Rescue Association and a lot of partners, we have been gathered together here today physically, and we are very happy to be with you. We have a sunny weather in Izmir Gümüldür today, a very nice one. A very striking figures Burak shared with us, very important. You know, culturally, Turkish nation is against wasting, but in 2019, we wasted 19.1 million tons of food in Turkey, although we are supposedly against the waste and loss of food. And this is the net amount as a result of the calculations made. You know, when it comes to food loss and waste, you know, we have this 93 kilograms per capita waste in Turkey. And this is striking. And in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, we have been conducting the Save Your Food campaign in the last 1 year. But before that, we had preliminary and preparatory work of 2 years getting prepared for the Save Your Food campaign. We consulted with lots of stakeholders, getting prepared for the Save Your Food campaign. And we also published a strategy and action plan on the reduction of food loss and waste. We have some 100 actions included in the action plan and strategy. And FAO experts contributed great support, gave great support, offered great support to the preparation of the action plan and the strategy. And despite the pandemic, we have made progress collaboratively in more than 50% of the actions included in the action plan in the last 1 year. First of all, we would like to reduce food loss and waste. Let's call it food waste in short. If we cannot prevent food waste, food loss and waste, we need to make use of food banks and give the food, redistribute the food to the people. If not, we can redistribute the food to the animals in the animal shelters. If not, then we can use it for composting purposes, for recycling. This will also contribute to the zero waste efforts of Turkey and globally as well. In this respect, when implementing our action plan and strategy, as a government, we are putting in a lot of efforts, and we have also announced economy reform program this year for the stabilization of the agricultural and food prices in Turkey. This is why now we have this agricultural reform in Turkey, and we are following up with the actions included in the action plan in relation to the economic reform in this respect. So what we are doing is contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals globally and achievement of reduction of food loss and waste in Turkey. As I previously stated, we adopted a multi-stakeholder approach in this campaign, Save Your Food campaign, and everybody around the table have contributed to our campaign, and everybody around the table and in this meeting today has been consulted in making this campaign a reality. And food banking is absolutely important for the success and achievement of this campaign. And I believe that one of the most important outputs of this project, of this campaign, will be the regulation to be adopted in the area of food banking. For that, we need to collaborate with all the line ministries, including the Ministry of Family, Ministry of Treasury and Finance, and Ministry of Health, because in the food banks, we do not have only food items, but other items as well. This is why we are in constant consultation with the other line ministries in order to come up with this regulation on the food banks. And also the cold chain. Cold chain is vital for the transportation of the food without spoiling the food. and perishing the food. All these efforts are going on collectively on our side. And when we are working, first of all, we are looking at the global examples. I like to extend my thanks to FAO because FAO is everywhere. FAO has global experience that it is sharing with us. I'd like to extend my thanks and gratitude to FAO once again. And thanks to their support, we are looking at and examining the global examples and good practices. And we are letting the decision makers and policy makers know of those good practices, and they're drafting the policies accordingly. 2 days ago, there was this United Nations Food System Summit. And in that summit, the president of the Republic of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, made a 4-minute speech. And almost half of the speech was about the importance of reduction of food loss and waste. And he also made multiple references to the Save Your Food campaign of ours. So there is this great impetus that we got in this campaign. And I'm taking the opportunity, I'd like to mention that this campaign was kicked off in the 1st of May, in the 20th of May 2020, but we have made a significant progress since May 2020. That was it from my side. If you have any additions, please make it. And thank you very much. A very nice and inspiring speech that you delivered from that side. And when you were talking about food, you said that we should not be wasting anything. We should not be binning anything. We have this hierarchy at the bottom of which we have composting, we have biogas facilities. I also visited a lot of biogas facilities in Germany. There are a lot of examples of biogas facilities. In Turkey, there are nice efforts in terms of setting up biogas facilities. I'd like to give the floor to Berat İnci. He is the chairman of the Food Rescue Association. Mr. Berat İnci, you have been making efforts in order to save food. You know that unfortunately we're losing and wasting food, and for that we need to change the mentality of the people. What do you say?
Everything has changed in the world regarding this. So to solve the problem, the focus should be the end consumer or the ones working in the market. So here we focused on behavioral change because systematically some things may change, but personally, if we do not change our behaviors, then waste will go on. So this is a reality. And this is very important. And when you come to Turkey from global, this is the same. The scenario is the same. So we are a developing country, and in the supply chain, in the retail, and also in our households, the rates are so serious in terms of waste. And 50% of the waste is coming out of our households. So first we need to accept this. So in our speeches, we mention it. So we are a society valuing food or wasting food. We cannot say this. We were such a country. We are not such a country anymore. And today you see the first harvests of the last harvest, and it will be going to the ones in need. And I hope that it will continue as an example in Turkey, and we'll be supporting it to the very end. In terms of the value of food, there many figures are shared, but I would like to underline something. In the world, 1 out of 3 foods are being wasted in the world. And here in this field, we will be preventing some of it, but maybe we cannot catch up with the next field because of timing or because of the voluntary teams will go back. So households are wasting. And also there are 821 million people lying on their beds at night hungry. So we can solve this hunger. If we can prevent waste, we can solve hunger problem 4 times in the world. And when you look at the SDGs, 17 SDGs, just 5 or 6 of them are related with decreasing waste. So these are direct targets or indirect targets pointing waste. Climate change, for example, is causing carbon releases. Again, food waste is causing a serious portion of it. Yes, the apple peel we are wasting at home changes the climate. So we can talk about the figures up until morning, but if we cannot talk about the value of the food, and if we cannot talk about the actions, we cannot go ahead. And for me, the value of food is, for example, my grandmother died at the age of 108. And my grandmother, when I was at high school, she talked about the memories of her during the Independence War. And in those times, they couldn't find food and they were making bread out of maize waste. So we weren't wasting anything at home. So my grandmother was drying them or making them wet in water in her small stove. She was cooking them. So we are brought up in such a culture. We weren't wasting anything. So my elders, I think, can tell the same thing. So this is in our culture. And today, this is one of the main reasons that I am the chairperson of this Food Rescue Association. So we are also supported by UN SDG agenda, and all of us are dealing with to prevent food waste in the world. We need major changes, not just in Turkey, not just in local level. So this is why we have this association, Food Rescue Association. And when you look at food value today, in all the easily accessible things, it is like a thing losing its value. Yes, there are things to evaluate it. There are methods to evaluate it, but the most important thing here is that having this perspective is very important. So we need to accept that we are wasting and what we can do to prevent this waste. So we need to first accept this. So in the country, regarding the different dynamics in the provinces, we need to have some major analysis and we need to bring some partners together. So this is why we are working, and thanks to this, more than 21,000 tons of food were prevented from waste. And most of it went to the persons in need in 36 provinces via food banks. And with these partnerships that we have, regularly 1.1 million people in need routinely can access these foods. And this figure is increasing like a snowball at the moment. And by convening the related stakeholders, we are doing our best to prevent this waste. Thank you very much, Berat İnce, Chairperson of Food Rescue Association. As he mentioned, his elders, so when there is poverty, you cannot waste, of course. It shouldn't happen. But when we are in welfare, so we can prevent waste. So we do have a lot of responsibilities here. And what you say is very important. So apple peel that we waste at home changes climate, you said. This is the headline of your speech indeed, because individually we can do a lot of things. So one apple peel, when you think about tons of apple peels, they change the climate. Thank you very much. And what can we do? So in the second part, I will be asking this question to you. Elif Necla Türkoğlu, the founder of Beylikdüzü Food Bank, chairperson of Beylikdüzü City Council, and board member of Istanbul City Council. Elif Necla Hanım, welcome. In Turkey, so food banking, in the last 2 or 3 years, it gained an acceleration, but in the United States, it started in 1960s, in the end of 1960s. So what are you doing regarding food banks, and how can you decrease food loss and waste by food banks? Of course, as our association, so we are hand-in-hand association, el ele association. So we are doing this food bank. So there are producers, there are consumers, and as my colleagues mentioned, there is serious amount of food being wasted in between. And also there are people who lost the chance of consuming. So we, for these people who lost their chance to consume, thanks to any reasons, so permanently or temporarily, when they are in poverty conditions, we as the representatives of these people, we are trying to make them take place in this chain, and to meet their basic food needs, we are taking steps. So we are such an NGO, and we have made a serious progress indeed. Because the economic social structurings of the countries, and according to these structures, these figures are increasing, decreasing, so it is fluctuating, so it is showing some transitions. But the most important thing here is that it has to be stable. And we need to access these citizens. And when you access these citizens, these citizens should be healthy and they have to reach nutritious food. And you are also contributing to the food loss, prevention of food loss, food waste, and deletion of carbon footprint. So we are working in two layers. So I would like to underline this first of all. So we started in Beylikdüzü with our food bank. The mayor, with the former mayor, we signed a contract. Now the second mayor is helping us, and now we are making progress, and we are still working. And our deeds in Istanbul have gained momentum in the other districts of Istanbul, like Şişli, Kartal, Küçükçekmece. In such districts of Istanbul, we are also active, and our activities will increase in these districts too. In our activities, we are ensuring the transformation of wasted food, and we make citizens to access this food who are in need. And in the year 2016, we were a platform. Now we had a serious progress. And in the local administrations that I have counted, we are at the situation that we can support 13,000 families, and the number is increasing. Just in Istanbul, just the food wasted in Istanbul can solve the city poverty, urban poverty of Istanbul. And the ones who lost the chance of consuming can again become consumers if we can prevent food waste in Istanbul, because every city has a resource. Of course, it will be increased. There are resources to be created, to be increased. In Beylikdüzü, for example, we managed to do something for the first time. So in a very valuable area, for example, we established 20 hectares of a garden, and there we are not just transforming food, we are also planting winter and also summer vegetables with local seeds, and we make our citizens reach this vegetables. And we have very positive feedback for that. So local administrations and international organizations like FAO, and also with the support of our Ministry of Agriculture, NGOs dealing with food banks, I think can be promoted, can be incentivized. For example, Gümüldür, Izmir is my hometown. I do say hello to everyone. In Gümüldür, this work going on is very important. This is what I believe, because harvested products will go to the people who cannot ever reach them fresh. So it is very important to make them reach this food. So if we can disseminate it to, for example, I think it can feed, Çanakkale can feed Istanbul, because there again, very valuable products are being grown. So very rapidly, FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture can support it. And if we can gain a momentum here, if we can make progress here, we who can meet the citizens and who are the spokespersons of the citizens, I think we can be supported by this progress. So food banking is very important. All the local administrators should be aware of this. I hope that they will be aware. And regarding this matter, in terms of contributing to the national economy and in terms of preventing waste, serious deeds can happen in partnership. And by being aware of that, I think we can make progress. Thank you very much. And this is all I can say at the moment. Thank you very much. We'll be together again in the second part. We'll be continuing to talk about food banks. And now we're going back to the fields from Izmir. Some of our guests are in Izmir, Gümüldür, and it is now 10:30, so the sun is rising up in Izmir, and the harvest is going on there. Zeynep Tuğçe Bayat actor and activist. She is in the harvest too. So how is the harvest, Zeynep?
Merhabalar herkese.
Hello, everyone. So I'm very excited, and I'm also thinking about the harvest. And very rapidly, I would like to touch those mandarins. There are young people here. They're very excited. They're very happy to be volunteering here. So there's a good atmosphere there. Excellent. So, okay, of course, we can listen to you. Your family is dealing with organic farming and you would like to be in nature. You like nature. So what can you say? If you can talk about this importance, we'll be very happy. My family, if they weren't in organic farming, I don't know if I would be this interested in farming. Of course, by thinking so, to make youth more aware what I can do. So I do attach importance to this. And here there is something more important, and I am interested here because my childhood was together and in the fields and gardens of my grandmothers and granddads. And we can help nature if you can communicate with nature. When you communicate with nature, you always think about nature and you shape your actions accordingly. And you do know that you are not the owner of the nature, and you can be a more beneficial person for nature. And my interests, of course, can be divided as pre-COVID and post-COVID. I did know that it is a very difficult job, farming, because my family, when it comes to organic farming, it is really more difficult. It is a very long-term process, and Turkey should make progress in this field, I do think. And it requires long certification processes. It is very good because we need to be sure that we are reaching healthy food. But of course, this causes less production and people hesitate more to produce organically, and the costs are very high. The more common it is, the less costly it can become. Of course, these are some different things, but when the pandemic has started, we were in need of food. So we were continuously in need of food. And normally, I was reaching that food very normally via my family, but because of the pandemic, I couldn't. As my panelists, valuable panelists said, there are a lot of waste. And here, of course, I'm trying to raise awareness. And when you do know labor, you cannot waste individually. And I do believe in individual transformation. But also, on the other hand, we need also mass transformation, because individually we can exert one effort, but massively we can. So there are massive movements which negatively contribute to this food waste. And the more conscious we are, the more we can stop these massive food wasters. We can have the right to ask this question to them, and we can push them. The more young people are aware, the more questions we can ask, and the more we can say that let's come together and work. Especially at the global level, there are a lot of, I don't know if it is true to say brand, but brands are also should do something, I think, to prevent waste so that they can help. This is what I think. So individual consciousness is very important here. Individual awareness is very important here. I hope that we can reach young people. Of course, together with actresses like you, we need to reach more people. So you talked as a lawyer. When I was listening to you, I do also know that you are a law faculty graduate. And in terms of reaching people, you touched upon very important points. Thank you very much. And I would like to proceed with the next panelist, Hayrettin Uçak. Thank you very much. He is a chairperson of Aegean Exporters Unions. You are also host there, FAO, Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, and Aegean Exporters Union. Of course, they are in the heart of Izmir. What will you say in the Aegean region in terms of food loss, food waste? What are you working on? As the Aegean Exporters Union, you do attach utmost importance to sustainability. We do know this. We can listen to you. Ilgaz Hanım, first of all, I would like to thank you and all of the audience listening to us at the moment. Of course, FAO and Ministry of Agriculture is cooperating for this project, and I would like to extend my thanks to everyone who exerted their efforts for this project. It is a very important project. In the early hours of the morning, we are in the citrus field, and we do have very valuable students, general directors. We do have provincial directorates of agriculture here. Most of them are here. It's like a marketplace. It's like a bazaar here. So only if you were here too, but hopefully next time we can organize our meeting in such a place. Of course, vegetables and when it comes to vegetables and fruit, so food loss and food waste can be seen in all parts of the chain. So unplanned production and insensitive harvesting of food and insufficient storage and the breaking of cold chain during the transportation and the prolonging sales. These are the main factors for food loss. So false production, wrong consumption, and wrong behaviors. When this is added to these factors, these losses can go up to 40%. And food supply chain in Turkey, the total loss in Turkey is 13.7 million. And this is the 12% of the total production. And when it comes to vegetable and fruit production, 9.8 million tons are lost during agricultural production. In Turkey, the total vegetable and fruit production is about 53 million tons. And after the harvest, the food losses can be divided in categories. So the losses can happen at the levels of 10 to 15%. And for these losses, alternative production possibilities can be created. First of all, to produce for fork, if these are lost there, then it can be produced for the industry, and also it brings income to the industry. And also with fruit juices or marmalades, this can be prevented, or fertilizers or bioenergy can be generated. Both public institutions and also together with private sector, vegetable and food waste can be evaluated with these options. So there are international examples to this, but alternative production via waste. So by developing these methods, we should also think about minimizing our waste. I think we need to brainstorm about this. And for that reason, as I said in the beginning of my speech, to minimize the loss rates from harvesting techniques to pesticides, from storages to retailer sector, in a very wide scope, in a very wide spectrum, there has to be awareness raising and training activities. Of course, to prevent these losses, training is a must, education is a must. When harvesting, how should it take place, and the shelf life, we shouldn't, of course, decrease the shelf life, and a product shouldn't be stored. So we need to attach importance to all of these. We need to attach importance to the education and the laborers that work in the field here. So for them, education and training is a must. So this is all from my side, Ilgaz Hanım. If you do have any questions, any other questions, I can gladly answer. So in the second part, we'll be coming back to you. And now we will be proceeding with Sabri Çetin, Mandarin producer from Gümüldür. So it is the starting point, the soil that he's working on. And Sabri Bey, first I would like to start likewise. Of course, because of journalism, I have followed many harvests up until today. And for TV programs, I visited the region a lot. And before in Bodrum, Bites, I went to a mandarin field years ago. And because it is related with our topic, I would like to say this to talk about the importance of loss and waste. So Bites mandarin is very popular, you know. And the owners were not picking them, and they were going rotten on the floor. Because they said that I asked why, and they said that we are selling this for a very cheap price. And it's a very rare species of mandarin. If we give this cost to the workers, then we will lose. And now they're going rotten on the branches, they said. And when I went back to Istanbul 1 week later, I have seen that that mandarin was being sold for 5 liras. So it was 10-fold of the first producer price. So you were working a lot there. I do know that. And you will tell us the voice of the soil, the earth. What do you do? So can you make value out of your labor? So how is it going this year in terms of production? Can you hear me? Yes, we can at the moment. First of all, regarding food waste, I am very thankful that something is going on about food waste, because we before, for example, talked about product development or pests, but food waste is the priority issue for me because I have chosen agriculture as my faith. We are in this for 3 generations. So at the production level, I know the difficulties for 6 months, for 7 months, from the blossoming to the fruit level of mandarin. I witness all of these, and when I see them in garbage, I am deeply saddened when I see mandarins in the waste bins. And when it comes to food waste or food loss, so this is not about the prices in the field or in the markets. So it is about the economic level. So for 10 years now, our sales prices, so there is a 70-80% increase, but the prices of fertilizers have increased by 80-70%. Okay, there's no problem with that. Somehow we stand up still. Of course, we do not have our previous profitabilities, but we still can preserve our job. But in all the sections of the society are not aware of the importance of food. They are comfortably wasting. When it comes to economy, when it comes to the other fields, we do have this. And internationally, this problem is solved in the developed countries somehow, because I visit some countries for that reason. So they are directly proportioning the food prices so that people do not waste. You can, for example, sell by unit. Can you hear me? Yeah? Yes, we can hear. Yes, we can hear. I do also have, I have witnessed this in developed countries. They are just buying 1 pepper, 1 apple, so they are purchasing per unit. It was also very interesting for me when I have first seen it, but they're not wasting as much as us, because people buy as much as they consume, so they buy less for that reason. And in the vegetable and fruit stations, there is serious loss. And if we can evaluate them, I think we can somehow rescue that food. And lastly, what I would like to say is, here, for example, when we harvest in our field, there is food left behind. But nobody tries to make it reach people. But with the right organization of the NGOs, these pieces of food can go to the right places, right people. So we can work on it with the Provincial Directorate. So we are not expecting any profit out of it. So the fruits or vegetables left behind on the fields can go to the tables of the people. Thank you very much for the valuable information you have provided. We will be coming back to you. So we are done with the first round and we're going on with the second round. We'll be having a second round, so we're coming close to 11 o'clock. So in the second round, I will be asking you to be aware of the time, because we need to talk about many things. We can go back to Burak Öz from FAO. Generally, you talked about the importance of the problem. You gave us some figures. As FAO, as United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, to prevent loss and waste, to minimize loss and waste? What are you doing?
Thank you indeed.
Paydaşlı bir sorun aslında.
You know, we believe this is a multi-stakeholder problem. I mean, food loss and waste. This is why we are trying to reach out to each and every stakeholder involved in food loss and waste. And food loss and waste has two stages. One is loss, the other one is waste. Loss happens up until retail stage, and then comes the waste, especially at the domestic level, household level. This is why, as FAO, we have been producing two types of programs. One is for loss, and the other one is for waste. First of all, we are conducting awareness-raising campaigns, awareness-raising activities and actions. And also, we are developing information sessions, conducting information sessions and training sessions, both for reduction of food loss and waste. And also when it comes to storage, protection, conservation, and cold storage, transportation, we are conducting information sessions. And we are also engaged in training of the producers as well as transporters and each and every actor included in the supply chain of food. We are contributing to the development of national action plans and strategies of the countries. FAO is a technical expertise organization. This is why one of the first mandates of FAO is to share technical experience with the stakeholders, with the partnering countries, including Turkey. This is what we are doing. Previously, you talked about produce left on the field and we are getting ripen and then they're going to waste because those food cannot make their way to the people. And we are also engaged in those activities. We are trying to take the food away from the field and redistribute them among the people. So as FAO, we are engaged in a number of activities. We are providing data support, evidence support to the countries in which we are active. You know, for especially measuring food loss and waste, you need baseline data. This is how we're helping the countries. We are helping them to collect baseline data. But the one of the most important problems in the country is the lack of data, lack of evidence showing the current situation of food loss and waste. And also at the Central Asian level, we are conducting a program in order to contribute to the reduction of food loss and waste in the Central Asian countries. Under that program, we have regional conferences, awareness-raising sessions, and information sessions. We are trying to do our best in order to share our experience, technical experience, and also transfer good practices, helping exchange good practices between the countries. And we are also demonstrating people good practices. If people can see the benefits by their own eyes, with their own eyes, then they will embrace this practice. This is why we are conducting demonstration activities. We have this Save Your Food campaign. I cannot go without talking about Save Your Food campaign, which brought us together today. Ms. Zeynep from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture will hopefully provide more detailed information about the campaign later than me. Thank you very much. Ms. Zeynep Özkan, may I give the floor to you, ma'am, from the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Previously, Sabri Çetin, a Mandarin farmer, took the floor, as you would remember, and he said that the produce is left on the field, and that produce left on the field, crop field, should be collected by the NGOs and should be redistributed. And in collaboration with the FAO, you have been conducting this campaign in the last 1 year or so. What kind of activities are you conducting, especially in making reference to what the farmer said previously? Mr. Sabri, farmer, made very important points, actually. You know, this is why we came together today. This is not the first activity of this campaign. in collaboration with Konak District Directorate. This is a fourth activity of its kind in this region, I may have to say. And we are conducting and disseminating similar activities around the country. But Izmir is a leading region, is representing a leading region when it comes to agricultural activities. And our colleagues from the District Directorate and Provincial Directorate are so much active in this campaign. We have districts and provincial directorates in all 81 provinces of Turkey, and we are going to disseminate similar activities and campaigns to cover all the 81 provinces of Turkey. And as mentioned previously, there are people who did not have the chance to taste one single piece of mandarin in their lives, but there are lots of tons of mandarin staying on the fields and they are going to waste. So this is a paradox that we need to solve. You know, we conducted a questionnaire, a survey, in order to identify the success of the campaign, Save Your Food campaign. We employed an independent surveying company, and the company concluded that actually we did a pre-test and post-test. Before the campaign, we had this company conduct a pre-survey to see the awareness of food loss and waste of the people. And then we did a post-test, a post-questionnaire, in order to see the success of the campaign, Save Your Food campaign. In the end, there was a connection loss on the side of the lady, I'm sorry. In this respect, the post-test particularly showed us that the awareness has been raised of food loss and waste. 1 out of 4 people, every 1 out of every 4 people is aware of Save Your Food campaign today. This is what the questionnaire, the survey showed us in the end. And also consumers now have a better awareness of portion surveying, portion planning, and we also increased the composting rate thanks to the Save Your Food campaign. Composting stays at the bottom of the pyramid that I mentioned earlier. You know, we would like to prevent waste, but if we cannot prevent waste, then we can make use of this waste by composting. So we also increased composting rates in Turkey thanks to the Save Your Food campaign. There's a loss of connection on the side of the lady, a very frequent one. I'm sorry, I cannot hear the lady. Sorry, the lady lost connection totally. A total loss of connection on the side of the lady. I'm sorry.
Kesti Can.
Sanıyorum Zeynep Hanım bir bağlantı sorunu yaşıyor.
Evet.
Buradan şöyle
Tamam.
açtım.
Ben de girdim. Tamam. Şu an sesim geliyor mu?
How about now? Can you hear me properly? Yes, we can. Well, we have lots of alternatives. If I really lost connection, I would use my colleague's computer actually, but I didn't need to. I was talking about the labeling, food labeling actually. Thanks to Save Your Food campaign, we increased awareness of food labeling and food marking by 20%. The thing is, in the past, 80% of the consumers did not know about best before dates and also expiration date. And they would bin and throw away food, although the food was edible. And also a Guinness record was broken. With a pledge of 790,000, we got a record. We broke a record in the environmental sustainability category with 790,000 pledges. We have another record held by China actually. So we have 10,000 more pledges in order to surpass China and to win the prize in Guinness. Please go online in our social media accounts and pledge and help us be #1 in that category as well. we are so much happy to collect the concrete fruits of this campaign, and we will keep on going. Especially, we will disseminate food banking in Turkey, and this year especially we will be totally focused on food banking in Turkey. All the best, man. Thank you very much for your kind efforts. You're there on the field, hand in hand with the farmers, and thank you very much for all your efforts, kind efforts. Berat İnci, the chairman of Food Rescue Association, will take the floor. What can we do, Mr. Berat? What can you do as an association? Please take the second round of talk, and please wrap up quickly. I think we need to talk about two dimensions here. You know, the dimension, the stage up until the table, people's table, and what happens after people's table. You know, first of all, up until table, up until retail, we can do a lot in order to reduce loss. And we had a technology in place. And as Food Rescue Association, we believe that there are a lot of good examples of technology, and we are engaging in the development of technology and using of technology as well in other countries. There are good examples of that. And we also try to collaborate with the private sector, and we try to make an analysis of the private sector engaged in technology development for the reduction of food loss in other countries. We make analysis of the good practices abroad, and we then try to transfer technology to Turkey and good practices to Turkey. Taking this into account, I can say that there is this hierarchy of recovery in Turkey. And unfortunately, we are not making use of this hierarchy to the best extent possible. First of all, we need to prevent loss at source. Source reduction is the most important issue to be done. We need to prevent it at source, and then we also sell this food, you know, to the people. But if we cannot sell this food after recovering them, then we can donate it to the people in need and to the animals in need. And then we can at the bottom of the we can go for the composting, which is at the bottom of the pyramid, which has been shared earlier. The thing is, if food is not fit for human consumption, it can also be used for animal consumption. We need to consider all these options that we have, especially when it comes to animal feed. We generally import animal feed rich in protein and calories. We import it from abroad, but instead we can redistribute food in Turkey to animal shelters. If not, we have the other options, including biogas facilities, composting, and even you know, symbiosis. Symbiosis is an option that we can develop on in Turkey and capitalize on in Turkey. And we have some efforts in this respect. Some of the chemicals can be extracted from the waste and can be used in the cosmetic sectors. And another waste from a factory can be an input for another factory, and this is called industrial symbiosis. I believe agricultural waste can also be considered for industrial symbiosis, especially for the cosmetic sector, you know. And this is why around the globe, we generally do not have a waste management department in the enterprises, in the agricultural enterprises. It is a different expertise which requires a specific expertise that we provide as Rescue Association. The thing is, planning. What we can do is plan. Before we go on shopping, we can sit down and draft a to-do list, a shopping list, or we can cook our meal and we can serve our meal in small portions, in small serving size as individuals. And also we need to learn a lot about the storage conditions in the fridge, in the refrigerator, so that we can prevent waste at source, at the domestic level, at the household level. If we cannot prevent waste at the household level, then we can also talk about composting, domestic composting at the household level, by somehow extracting, taking away the moist in the waste, etc. You know, we have domestic waste that we contribute greatly to. We also contribute to the collective wasting out there on the streets, in the collective eating places, for example, in the restaurants. So we can also contribute to the reduction of food waste in the restaurant, in the shopping malls, in the markets, supermarkets as well. We need to be aware of the food labels, food marking, including best before date, including expiration date. If I know the difference between them two, then I will be an aware consumer, an informed consumer, and I will buy accordingly. I will buy my food accordingly. And the thing is, today we have some applications and practices in the supermarkets, including applying discounted food prices to some surplus food. And this can be another option that we can go for. We can buy those food at discounted prices in the supermarkets. As Food Rescue Association, we have collaborated with a company called Fairy in Turkey and reached 60 million people in Turkey with an awareness raising campaign. And this campaign was called "Do Not Make Your Product Go to Waste." And thanks to can you hear me, by the way, he's asking. Yes, we can. And thanks to this campaign, we showed people a great initiative, a great campaign which reached 60 million people, collaborated in a joint action between an NGO and a private company. And we believe that NGOs can collaborate with the private sector more in order to reduce food loss and waste. And, every day, we are marking a lot of achievements and success in the EU-funded projects, including many projects that we have conducted. We have partners, I believe, from the EUD, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them. And I'd like to thank the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, Zeynep, and the whole ministry. They have a lot to do, and we will be there to help them, to support them on the way. Thank you indeed. Thank you very much, sir, for wrapping up very quickly. And I'd like to give the floor to Nejla Turkoğlu. We were talking about food banking, ma'am. So can you take the floor for a second round of discussion and wrap up quickly, if you will? How we can disseminate the food banking practice in Turkey? You are engaged in food banking in Beylikdüzü district, but how do you think we can replicate similar practices in Turkey? Well, let me put it that way. First of all, the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry has been making efforts in order to revise the regulations and legislation in order to come up with a good food banking system in Turkey. Currently, we didn't have a piece of legislation in place for the food banking. But the second we have a regulation on food banking, the food inspections will be easier, and also redistribution of food will be easier, I believe. We have an example, a model practice of food banking in Beylikdüzü, and we are, thanks to this practice, contributing to the livelihoods, to the lives of people very concretely. And I believe these are those kinds of practices which can be disseminated and replicated. But for that, we need the support of the FAO and the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Thanks to with food banking, we can contribute to the employment of people, livelihood of people as well, because we are supporting women, vulnerable women, desperate women. We are creating livelihood opportunities for women in food banks, and also at the same time we are preventing food waste. I believe the government of Turkey, the ministry, in collaboration with FAO, can help with achieving this objective of providing better livelihoods to women, to men. For example, you can help us purchase composting machinery, and we can employ more women for the operation of that composting machinery. And we believe we can produce healthier, more healthy food with the use of the fertilizers coming out of the composting machine. Waste is huge. And reduction of waste will not only contribute to the alleviation of poverty, will also contribute to the fixing of the problem of lack of livelihoods among the people. So I think we need to sit down together as different stakeholders and partners, and we need to talk about our challenges and what we can do collectively. We can talk about what are the challenges of the farmers, what are the challenges of the suppliers. Every actor in the supply chain and beyond can sit around the table, I believe, and can discuss the challenges together with the practical solutions that can go with the challenges. And we can contribute to the economy of the country collectively. And also we can, this way, produce healthy food, healthier food, through which we can feed many people who do not have access to healthy food today. Thank you very much for the kind attention. Hopefully, our efforts will continue, and we will be ready to support you whenever you need us. Thank you indeed. Thank you, Ma'am. And now it is time for Zeynep Tuğçe Bayat, activist and actress. You talked about organic farming previously. The number of farmers is going down, and the age of the farmers is going up. Average age of the farmers is going up. And the young people are migrating from rural areas to the urban areas, and they do not want to be engaged in farming. So what do you suggest to the youth? I wanted to speak of this topic so much. Thank you for asking. You know, cities are almost unlivable today. And, you know, before the pandemic, my family had this family farm, and in the family farm they were hosting, especially before the pandemic, guests. They were receiving guests to see their gardens, to see their family farms. And generally, before the pandemic, we were having foreign young people who were coming to the farm of my family, and they were learning from my family some farming activities, good farming activities, organic farming activities, and going back to their countries, and they were implementing their learnings in their countries. This is not the case in Turkey. The Turkish young people are not interested so much in the organic farming or farming at all. You know, my family's activities got interrupted because of the pandemic, but I believe we can do something in order to encourage the youth, Turkish youth, to get engaged in farming, organic farming. I am so much of a volunteer, actually. I would like to be a volunteer in encouraging the youth to get engaged in organic farming, in farming, rural activities. I believe this is the unique good deed that we can do for the whole globe. That's what I think. I believe voluntariness is absolutely important among us all. We should volunteer in order to encourage young people to go back to the villages, to go back to the rural areas, and to be engaged in farming. And the thing is, circumstances in the rural areas, in the villages, are so difficult. And maybe we can improve the circumstances, living conditions in the villages, in the rural areas, in order to attract more young people to the farms, to the fields. And I talk to myself, and I ask myself whether I can take over from my family, the family farm, once they age. And I say, I'm not sure. I even myself need encouragement, let alone the other young people. Let me put it that way. When it comes to organic farming, you cannot use fertilizers. You cannot use pesticides. The chemicals, plant protection materials. This is why the produce can go to waste, even without getting collected. Before you collect the produce can go to waste on the field, because you cannot use pesticides, you cannot use the chemicals for protection of the plants. Because of natural reasons, they go to waste. And you become so sad. I become so sad when I see the produce going to waste, because it is organic produce, and you cannot use pesticides, and you cannot use chemicals. And the thing is, and not only the produce is going to waste, but also efforts are going to waste. You need to teach the young people that the efforts are going to waste if you waste something. I am a child of two farmers who are putting in huge efforts in organic farming. Now that I have seen the efforts put in this job, I can never let anything go to waste, let any food go to waste, any produce go to waste. And policies, governmental policies are important. I'm so much interested, by the way, in the incentives to be provided, subsidies to be provided by the government. I believe there are a lot of farmers out there, female farmers as well, who are in need of the incentives of the government. And by the way, there is this pledge campaign my colleague mentioned previously. Please go online and make a pledge that you are going to save your food. And once you pledge, then you will take steps in order to save your food. Thank you very much.
It was good that you reminded of that. Maybe later they can check and they can find themselves in a harvesting, and they can pick the mandarins or apples on the ground, not to lose them. Of course, keeping this in mind is very important, and then being in action is very important. Your effort is for this reason. So to orient people, to guide people. Okay, good luck with your harvest today. Hayrettin Bey, I'm getting back to you from Aegean Exporters Union. He is the chairperson. Now we're coming to the end. So what can we do to prevent food loss and food waste and cold storages? You're talking about the importance of cold storages in the stations and also in the transportation, insufficient cold storages or lack of cold storages. So what influences it? So what should we do to rescue food? Can you please guide the business for that reason? Thank you very much, Ilgaz Hanım, first of all. And I would like to thank the panelists. They talked about very important matters. And Zeynep Özkan and Zeynep Tuğçe, I would like to thank you separately. They are very well interested and they are exerting many efforts for this field. So they talked about very important bullet points. In the vegetable and fruit sector, so after the harvest, the food losses are very important, and this decreases the product quality, and costs are increasing, and this is influencing our competitiveness negatively. And generally, our enterprises may have enough storage, but when there is high demand in the market, and when the harvesting is not timely in terms of storage, there can be some physiological disturbances. And when harvest is not timely, it is also influential. And when this is considered, so municipalities and enterprises can cooperate to have joint cold storages so that the food losses coming from harvest can be prevented. And losses in the vegetable and fruit stations, because of lack of infrastructure, this can be very high. To prevent it, sufficient cold storages should be installed in these stations. So this is very important. And vegetable and fruit, to make it reach the consumers in a healthy manner, cold chain from production to consumption to export, this shouldn't be broken. But during exportation, during the transportation, cold chain can be interrupted from time to time, and this causes quality loss. Investments may seem high in terms of doing this, but together with TÜBİTAK, together with national and national organizations, we can call for projects. And as sector, we need to be close to these project calls. And via private sector initiatives, we need to produce projects. And here, of course, we need to assume responsibility as producers. We need to diversify our products. We need to increase diversity. If we have surplus, for example, it also causes food losses and waste. Thank you very much. And I hope that this project will continue. We attach utmost importance to this project. As you see, this is early mandarin harvest. So we have started this, and will be harvesting after harvest, and we'll be sending this to the families in need, and they can, so that they can eat these mandarins. Thank you very much for your support as the Aegean Exporters Union. Now the last floor is going to the Sabri Çetin, a mandarin producer. You have shared the information of earth, the soil, with us. Sabri Bey, can you hear us? Yes, I can. So we will be closing the live broadcast. But so how much is Mandarin at the moment? And would you like to add something more? So it is 2 or 2.5 liras, because this year yield is very low. So we do have 1/5 loss in the yield. When you say loss, it is about the climate crisis. Yes, it is seasonal. So there is periodicity. So this is a climatic periodicity. So it is alternately bearing. So it is a less year this year. For example, normally I am harvesting 700 tons, but this year it is 150 tons. So we do have a serious loss here. But regarding this, regarding my region, if NGOs would like to work here, I would like to be the first volunteer here. I would like to be the first link of the chain here. I can support any efforts of the NGOs. Please write me, count me in as the first volunteer. Thank you very much. To prevent losses, would you like to add something to prevent losses? What I can add is, so this is a decision of the end consumer. Up until it reaches homes, of course, intermediaries and farmers, the professionals should make decisions, the storage conditions, protection conditions, if they are more cautious on the side of us and on the side of them. And I can talk about the pesticides issue. Some of the products that we use, it prolongs the shelf life of the product. If this can be organized in the region, these losses can be decreased by 30 to 50% in terms of the stability of the fruit. This increases the shelf life and also the duration that it can be kept in the fridge. So I don't want to mention the names of these. The Ministry of Agriculture and the Provincial Directorate of Agriculture know this. And I'm also very thankful to our Menderes Provincial Director. Very well, deeds are going on in the region. In addition to Hayrettin Bey, he talked about, for example, diversity. And in this region, we are also now planting passiflora. And also some of our colleagues are planting avocados. So it is very fruitful. So in Gümüldür, we can grow avocados very efficiently. Now we are having some results out of it. So when we are talking about pesticides, of course, organic farming pesticides, this is an organic pesticide. These are all legal, these are all usable. So these are permitted by the Ministry of Agriculture. And when you give this, when you sprinkle this, you can prolong the shelf life of the product. Okay, thank you very much and good luck.
Artık İzmir'de de
Tekrar
buyurun.
Yes, please. Once again, if there are any NGOs which would like to work in this region, I would like to be volunteering for them. Thank you very much. And there in Izmir, you are close to Izmir. The sun is rising now. The noon sun is arriving now. And now it's been an hour that you're together with us. Good luck with the harvest. So you added value to this panel altogether, and you are leading us with your efforts. You have given us very important piece of information. And in the scope of Save Your Food campaign, we were here together with FAO, United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, and Ministry of Agriculture are cooperating for this campaign for 1.5 years now. And today we were here for the first crop festival and for the panel, No Food Left Behind. So this crop festival is the first of its kind, organized together with the Ministry of Agriculture and FAO in Gümüldür in the Mandarin field. And these festivals will go on, and the second one will take place in the next months or next weeks during fall. And this crop festival will continue here for 2 days. So tomorrow it will be also continuing. Thank you very much for watching us. We hope that you can shift the mentality in your lives, in the periphery of your lives. We hope that we somehow shaped your minds, because we need to be conscious about food losses and food wastes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Greetings from Gümüldür. Greetings from us too, and good luck with the harvest.
Şöyle ceza verdiler galiba bize.